In 2017, I woke up one morning and had these red marks all over my arms and from my knees down. Just out of nowhere, I woke up with intense itching and pain and scratching and couldn't figure out what was going on. And I mean, it was like I'd been burned, just bright red, very intense. So I went to the doctor and he said, well, we're not sure what that is. Looks like maybe some eczema or something going on. He gave me some creams and said this should kind of help calm it down, and started putting it on, and it just intensified. So that went from a flat red burn look to big bumps, pus type, big large nodules underneath my skin. And I went back to him and I said, this isn't working, it's actually getting worse. It's spreading all over my arms and legs, getting worse. Took some biopsies and came back, said, looks like it's pustular psoriasis. So he started giving me some ointments and creams. It made it feel like it was kind of stunting the spread, but it wasn't making it any better. And if I didn't put it on, it just like kept growing and getting worse. Big nodules everywhere, all over my arms and legs. I bought hundreds of dollars worth of vitamins. I started drinking green smoothies, no gluten, no eggs, no dairy, nothing. I was just trying everything, anything I could think of, and just wasn't getting any better. And so I finally went to a new dermatologist, an elderly dermatologist that was close to retirement. And he took one look and said, that is the worst case of pustular psoriasis I've ever seen in my entire life. And I said, okay, what do we do? And he said, well, you're gonna have to give yourself an injection every month. And I said, okay, for how long will it take to do these injections? And he said, forever. He said, this is an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune diseases don't go away. This injection is just going to help mitigate and dampen down your symptoms, but it's not going to take it away, but you'll be able to deal with it a lot better. And somewhere down deep inside, I just felt like this came from somewhere. I mean, it started 2 years before. I did something. I don't understand it, but if you would have told me it was stress that caused it, I would have denied it. I mean, I've been through graduate school, all kinds of stress in my life, and never had this type of problem. And I knew I was having some stress in my life, but I would have denied that it was stress related. But so deep down, I just felt like there was another answer. I didn't feel like I was gonna have to take these injections the rest of my life. It was about a month later, I happened to, this whole thing just took me into a depression, and my anxiety levels went way up. I just had a hard time functioning. I just constantly felt stressed. I could feel these rush of chemicals in my chest and all the time, and oh, it was horrible. And so I was bored, and there was an ad on Facebook for getting 3 months of Gaia for $1. And they were talking about documentaries of ancient Egypt, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll click on that. And I just happened to find a video of Dr. Dispenza on there. I clicked on it, and I immediately was just so riveted by what he said. And I knew what he was saying was true, and it just really hit me. And so I immediately started watching every video I could find of Dr. Dispenza online, on YouTube, on Gaia. And then it just wasn't enough. I just insatiable appetite for more information. So I bought all his books, and I listened to all the books, and started listening. He started following his recommendations of doing meditation. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up early, an hour early, and I started meditating. I didn't know if I was even doing it right. I just followed some of the early meditations where you do an induction, you're just trying to calm yourself down, and then I didn't know what to do after that. I thought I was supposed to be visualizing being healed in the future and visualizing myself, but now I know we're supposed to be thinking about nothing. But for me, I was just thinking about seeing myself healed, and you're trying to feel gratitude for my healing, And it was really hard when you're depressed, trying to muster up feelings of gratitude is really hard. And so I had to think about what I was going to do when I was healed. And so I started visualizing helping other people and some charities that I wanted to start, and some things I wanted to do in communities, and helping other people. And then I would visualize myself after I'd helped these people, and the joy and gratitude they were showing to me for helping them. And that gave me some joy, like I'm able to give back. And that's where I latched onto my gratitude and my joy. And so then it became more about healing myself, because I need to be there to help these other people. And so what I found is I started having little experiences where I felt joy, and that pressure, that anxiety and depression that was just on me, it kind of lifted, and that burden of it was easing up, and I felt some joy. And so I didn't want to get out of my meditations. And so I knew I was on the right track, but then I have to get up and go to work. So I get up, and then I was doing home health as a physical therapist, and I drive from place to place. And I noticed that the weight just slowly started creeping back in. And so out of desperation, I didn't want to deal with that anymore. And so I started, like, 100% of the time I was listening to Dr. Dispenza. And so in the car, I'd turn on Dr. Dispenza, then I'd start driving, just listen to him, either his books, or I'd start a YouTube video, and then I'd just put it down and then listen to the audio while I was driving. And it started bringing me hope. And then that anxiety would just lift as I listened to him. And I just did that constantly, hours every day. I mean, any break I had, that's all I did. And it got to the point where it was information overload. My brain is like, I can't take anymore. And so it stopped helping me. So then I'd switch to my meditation playlist. So the way I got my meditation music is I just started listening to music on Pandora, and I listened to epic music, music from movies, instrumental stuff that just, because they really know how to elicit emotion when you're watching a movie. And so I'm like, that's what I'm going for. So as I listened to Pandora, I'm like, oh, that's a good one. I really felt the energy, so I'd screenshot it and save it until I had about 10 of them. Then I downloaded all those songs and put them in a playlist, and that's what I listened to in my meditations. And then I started listening to it while I was driving, and then that would keep me going. And so I'd go back and forth between listening to my meditation music while I was driving or listening to Dr. Dispenza. And boy, that just got me through. So after about, it was an up and down, like Dr. Dispenza talks about. It wasn't consistently getting better. It was like, have these great experiences. I'd feel so amazing. I'd come home and I'm like, even listening to that stuff, I mean, I could feel my energy was kind of dropping a little bit, but not too much, because I'd kept it up with listening to Dr. Dispenza and my music. And so, but I was anxious to do my meditation again to find that relief. And there would be times I'd come in, I'd sit down, and I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm going to find relaxation and feel that peace. And I couldn't get in that mode, and it just actually stressed me out, and it made me worse. Like, oh, I just need that peace, and it wouldn't come. So, I found that, okay, I just gotta relax, and just every day is different. But slowly I was getting better, and I was feeling a little bit more lighter every day. 3-4 months later, after I first started Dr. Dispenza, listening to him, I was really kind of getting a rhythm of driving and listening to that music, and I was trying to feel gratitude everywhere I was driving. I was instead of focusing on the person in front of me, I was also trying to look at the sky and look at the clouds and try to feel gratitude. And I was driving, and I had my playlist on, and I just felt it. I was like down deep, and I just started feeling gratitude and visualizing. Well, actually, at some point, I was just feeling so much love and gratitude while I was driving, and I just looked up into the sky, and immediately this power, like you've never experienced before, just shot through my head, down through my entire body, and every single cell in my body was just on electric. It was just buzzing, and the love in my heart was just exploding, and it's unreal, absolutely unreal. I was just like, is this happening to me? I was couldn't even explain it. It was so incredible. And right then I knew, okay, I don't need those injections anymore. They weren't really helping. I don't need the medications. I don't need topical ointments, nothing. I knew that I'd been healed. Slowly over the next few weeks, all the skin just faded away into my body and went away. And the rest of that day, I mean, I was around people and I felt this incredible love for everyone, everything. I was like amazed, like I'd never been to the earth before or something. I just showed up. I'd never seen anything or anything before, even what people had created, you know, looking at a pen or looking at a cup, a unique cup, and the design, I'm thinking somebody thought of that and they created that. And then I was noticing insects and flowers like I'd never seen them before, and how amazing they were. And this little bug could move, and people, I was around people and little kids were running around me, and normally you might feel annoyed with it, but it's like this love for each of these kids, was just unreal. And then you see their parents and you just feel so much love for these parents that are trying to care for these kids and teach them. I just can't even describe the love I felt for everyone, everything. It was the most intense experience. And that lasted for about the real intense for the rest of that day and some of the next day. But I still felt really elevated for the next week, 2 weeks. And so ever since that, like I said, my psoriasis just went away, and it was just such an amazing experience to witness. And my wife, who was a very big doubter in Dr. Dispenza's work, and like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. She saw me meditating, but after that, she was like blown away, like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's been a couple years now since I healed myself, and I went back to the dermatologist, as I was saying, and I said, hey, do you remember me? And I showed him pictures from my camera. I said, do you remember me? And he said, oh yeah, absolutely. And then I showed him my arms and legs, and he was just blown away. He's like, how's it gone? And I told him I'd stopped the medication 2 years ago and the injections, and I told him about Dr. Dispenza, and he was like, I am listening to that book. That sounds like a really good book. So I just wanted to share what happened to me, so maybe you can learn, because there's so many things to learn. I'd never meditated before. I tried it before, and you just sit there and like, okay, I need to get up and get doing things. I didn't know how to meditate, and that was the biggest thing, is I had to learn, and I wasn't sure if I was doing it right, but apparently I was. And now I know that I must have been putting myself in a trance, a little bit when I was driving, because we all kind of do that when we're driving. We kind of zone out, and as I was zoning out, I was still paying attention to the road, but I was like using my peripheral vision, with my senses to sense gratitude and sense this connection with the higher power, and feeling joy and gratitude, and by having no other thoughts in my mind other than gratitude and love and trying to connect. I think that was the secret that worked for me, and it just opened that door, the unconditional love, and it was amazing.